So exactly how to hit your first ever £10,000 or dollar month as a young entrepreneur. I'm gonna cover in this video my story from someone who was very lost, someone who was, I was 14, 15, trying every single side hustle under the sun. Airport drop shipping. I was doing drop shipping, trading, prime hydration reselling, if you guys know what that is. Trading every single side hustle out there. And I'm gonna tell you guys my story, how I developed as a person, but also my career, and now the businesses that I own now. I'm in Monaco chilling, doing my thing. I want to cover all of that in this video, and this goes to anyone who's starting from zero, who's young, someone who has tried certain things here and there, but just hasn't seen the success they need. In this video, I'm going to give you the exact blueprint I've taken, and I think many others should take, because it's a blueprint that's worked for me and for many other people. So stay tuned. Hope you guys enjoy the video, and make sure you listen closely to what I have to say. So the first thing I want to cover, as I mentioned earlier, is my story. Now, my story is very important because you guys need to see the journey I've taken on as a person, also professionally, how I've gone from zero to now making very good money for my age. So I started off at 14, 15. I started with, very, very basic hustles. I was playing Fortnite, trying to make money off Fortnite. I was doing airport drop shipping. I was doing prime hydration reselling. I was doing all the businesses I mentioned before. Businesses, they're hustles, right? And I saw some success in them. I made some money in them, not anything crazy. It was around 4 figures profit, you could say, which is decent. For 15, it's decent. Now, where I saw a shift and where the big money started coming in for me at that age, for the age it was a lot of money, was when I started actually documenting my journey and my experience with each hustle. So you guys can look at the videos. One of my most viral, popular videos has over 30,000 views. And I was just some 15-year-old kid talking about reselling Prime. And it got a bunch of views. And I decided, with these views and with all the hustles that I'm doing that are getting attention, how can I monetize it? Because sure, getting views and building a community is fun. But how do I make money off it? So at 15, 16, around there, which is when I decided to start selling digital products. So I decided to teach the people watching me how to do these hustles. So for example, with AirPods, I would give them my supplier. I would give them, certain ways to sell the AirPods. And I'd sell this for very cheap. I'd sell it for, 20 to 25 pounds, which is $30, $40 around there. And people actually bought it. People bought it. And I realized then that people bought it because they, one, liked my journey, and they maybe even liked me. Two, because I was giving some sort of value. It wasn't a lot of value, but it was some sort of value, which is why people bought. And that made me, I think, around £2,500 to £3,000 in profit at the time, from just selling digital products for one hustle, which was big money for me at the time. I was 16, just finished my GCSEs, making a good amount from that. So I decided from there to go into trading. Went into trading, Forex, all of that stuff. I lost pretty much all my money, but I did try, the social media stuff. I tried, getting people in as affiliates, all that stuff. It didn't work. Trading, is it's a very difficult business to get into, and it's a business that every single person is in. It's too much competition, too little trust involved, and it wasn't fun for me. So then I decided to go back to YouTube. Okay, back to YouTube, let's start, trying to do more hustles, let's try sell more digital products. And I kept doing that. But something clicked in 2023, 2024, around there, that, the real power is in having the personal brand and people just following me. I can do anything with that. I can monetize it anyway. So I decided to fully go in on personal brand. And it was around that time, I started making good money with it. I was making like high 4 figures per month, close to 5 figures per month through personal brand. And that's when I decided, okay, how can I maximum leverage this? How can I take advantage of creating content online and monetizing it? Which is when I decided with a business partner of mine to start, at the time, faceless theme pages. We started multiple faceless theme pages. I'll pop them up on the screen here. We had a value, channel, millionaire lifestyle, worthy, like many big pages, right, that are now big. And at the start, our goal was just, to see where it would go. Okay, let's see how many views we can get. Let's see how we can monetize it. Fast forward to now, this is around 3, let's say 2 years later. I've got some of the biggest faceless brands in the space. These theme pages that were just very low quality videos, no intention behind the content whatsoever, now are generating hundreds of millions of views every single month are branded effectively, and me and my team fully focus on the branding aspect of it. And now we're fully locked in on the branding of it, and it's entirely faceless. And we monetize those pages, you know, to an insane degree. And it's really opened my eyes because I've never seen anyone do it. And you know, having a personal brand, but then also having the faceless side of things, because it can be very similar to a personal brand. It can be very similar to a personal brand, just without showing your face. You know, the trust won't be as high, but the pros of it are you don't need to show your face. You know, you can have 10 accounts. We have a total of 4 or 5 accounts at the minute and growing. So the limitations are very minimal, which is why I like the business. And the pages, you know, we're monetizing them, as I said, we're making very good money with them. So now that is my main business. At the minute, you know, I have these pages, I monetize them, I teach people how to run these pages, I have a software for these pages, I have many different things around it. But it only happened because I realized years ago that content is super powerful, which is going to lead me on to, you know, how you would get from 0 to the 10K mark, because the content aspect of it is the most important part, and that is what most people overlook and most people skip out. Most people won't start personal brands, even though it's the highest ROI, simply because of the fact they don't want to show their face, they don't know what to speak about, which is fine, which is why, you know, I've decided to create the business model of faceless brands, because anyone can now get into it with no excuse whatsoever. You can make the same amount of money with a faceless brand as a personal brand. So, you know, later down the line, you know, after you know, this sort of clip here, I'm going to talk about how I would get from 0 to 10K per month with the experiences that I've got. Now, is this the best way? I don't know. Is this something that I would do and I would recommend? Yes. So, you know, take that into consideration. Don't listen to every single thing I say. Make a decision for yourself. But take my opinion and take my experience of being in this game for over 4 years now as just a thought in your head, and as a different opinion. You know, it never hurts to have another opinion. Okay, so when it comes to the 0 to 10K aspect, because I've coached a lot of people, I've spoken to a lot of people, you know, that went from 0 to 10, 20K very quickly. And, you know, I've done it very quickly as well. So you have to understand one thing. It's very different for every single person, which is why I'm going to speak very, you know, on average, you know, the average person is what I'm going to speak about. So take bits and bobs from this. So if I was starting from 0, this is what I'd do. I would think to myself, okay, what life experiences do I have? What trials and tribulations have I gone through? 1. 2, I'd think, okay, do I have any value whatsoever to provide anyone? Those are 2 things I'd ask myself. If the answer is yes, I would instantly go ahead, start a personal brand, and start documenting everything I do. You know, me eating ice cream, fucking, I don't know, me having a coffee, me thinking about something and talking about it. I would also, you know, fully go into personal branding. I'd build up a following. I would get as many people as possible to follow me, to like me, and genuinely follow my journey, genuinely follow me as a person. And then from there, I would sell an offer. That's what I do. That's the simplest way to get from 0 to 10K per month with a personal brand. Very simple. You know, it sounds simple, but obviously there's more technicals under it, but in layman's terms, that is it. Now, if you don't have any of those 2 things, or you do, but you don't want to start a personal brand, I would start a faceless brand, because as I mentioned earlier, you know, through my experience, there's big money in content and monetizing it. So I would fully take advantage of the faceless brand side of things. I would fully start a faceless brand now. I'd start posting between 50 and, I don't know, 80 to 100 videos per day, grow that page up quickly, generate a couple 100 million views, and then go ahead and monetize the views. From there, you know, I'd start having consistent cash flow from the page, so maybe 2 to 4K per month. Invest in a content team, automate that page, done, boom. Start a second one, automate that one, boom, boom, boom. With 2 to 3 pages, you can already be at 10K per month very easily, without showing your face, without having to really do much. Because, you know, the 50 to 80 videos per day sounds like a lot, but if you know what you're doing, it's really not. And, you know, faceless brands over, you guys can look at my pages, I'll put them in the description of the video. You know, the faceless brands require a lot of content at the start, simply because of the fact there's so many out there, and you need to be able to differentiate yourself and get a bit of a boost. And the way you do that is by posting a lot of videos. And, you know, what I've just told you guys is through my personal experience. You know, this is what I would do. Either way, you know, you're gonna make money, regardless if you start a personal brand or a faceless brand. Regardless, you're still in branding. You're still making content, which is the important part. And that's the That's where the real money is, the content, because everything's shifting to content now. Everything is content. You know, every single business here in Monaco is built up from content. They're built up from social media. Everyone's on social media. So you need to be creating content regardless. Faces, I don't care if it's faces, with showing your face, does not matter. Post content and you'll make money, guaranteed. So, you know, I'm gonna go more into depth into, you know, those two things in other videos. But if you guys enjoyed the video and you guys do want to work with me personally one-to-one, you can book a call in the description, or you can drop me a DM on my Instagram. I appreciate you guys watching, and take care.